You can support the Terrible Warriors today by visiting patreon.com/terriblewarriors. And you can support Onyx Path's Scion 2nd Edition by visiting their Kickstarter page right now, because it ends tomorrow. Holy crap! Today, on the Terrible Warriors, we wrap up our week-long daily campaign of the Scion 2nd Edition Kickstarter special with a debrief. Derek the Bard, Cassie, Chui, Justin Ecock, and Mike Dodd return for one last time this week to break down the game, talk about what worked, what didn't. It's the debrief episode. It's where we debrief. Enough about me. I've got more to say at the end of the episode, including a sneak preview of our next campaign. But for now, let's return to your Terrible Warriors.
Hey folks, we're back for our debrief with the 5th installment of our Scion 2nd Edition game. We still got 1 day left on this Kickstarter. Check it out over at Kickstarter.com at Scion 2nd Edition. And check out its publisher, the Onyx Path Publishing, on Twitter at the Onyx Path.
Do it. And I'm Justin Ecock, sitting around the table with
Cassie D20 Love Chui.
And
Mike the Birdman Dodd.
And we just wrapped up our first daily campaign. We recorded this on Sunday, we released it on Monday, and we've been giving you episodes throughout the whole week. And here we are on Friday. We just finished the last episode on Thursday-ish, kind of. Is that like wrapped up with a bow, or just kind of like the kind of present you hastily cover in newspaper and bring over because you didn't really know what they wanted?
No, it's like, you know what, it's you know when you don't really know how to wrap, so instead you get one of those gift bags and you put it inside the gift bag and then put some tissue paper and it's like, and I did it.
Yeah, exactly.
It looks good, right?
That's exactly
It's
the kind
good.
of feeling I have at the end of this quest going, and we're done. Is like
I think this is I tried to run this very much as like a mini first quest for you guys, where it was to establish you guys as a band, or a circle, or I think they're still called bands of Scions, and to just give you a quick taste of things.
Nice. So when we return to this game, we get to call it putting the band back together.
We
Scion
totally
puts
should
the
play
band back
another one.
together.
Or if we get different players that have to come rescue us, it can be called Band-Aid.
Nice.
Cover band.
I like this.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I would totally love to get back into this again. This was fun.
Yeah, I'd like to ramp up the supernatural side a little bit
Yeah.
more. As much as I enjoy doing investigations, I don't feel like I played that out too well, or this particular, like, I just didn't know the rules enough to I just wanted to fight things.
Yeah.
Plus a lot of my
I
of
was
my
probably more
powers were
physical
towards
than what
that.
I should have been,
Yeah,
but
you
it
know,
worked.
Quinn, you fucking Sean, like Dodd, Sean
you
in the
destroyed.
second episode when you just kind of walked us through all those obstacles. And then when it came down to like, all right, bad guy fight boss time for me to be indecisive about everything.
I was surprised I scared Mr. Scion.
yeah.
I really
yeah, I
wanted to
got
come
an
up with
army.
a clever Gaius for PyCon, and I just couldn't think of a promise to compel him onto. I just wasn't, I don't know, feeling...
Option paralysis.
I was just feeling dumb. I just couldn't come up with something.
From now on, his name is Daikon. He's a radish.
I love
The evil Scion
he's
Daikon.
Retconned.
He's a radish now.
I retcon. Just as we handed him over, I then walked up to him and told him that he is now obligated to refer to himself as Daikon.
No, it's like, no. His thing. His Gaius.
That's the
his
Gaius.
His Gaius is that whenever somebody calls him by his name, Pycon, he has to
correct
them and
Sorry,
say that his name is Daikon.
It's Daikon now. And that's what he's now compelled to do. That's what I whispered into his ear just as he was like handcuffed and taken off to the Greek gods.
So now I just want to make like a doodle of like a radish with like a Greek god helmet.
To the
on it.
real PyCon, who is a Patreon supporter whose name was used in this game, we are sorry for butchering that, and for it is not you, but the character in the story who we are ridiculing.
I'm sorry, Pycon.
Your actual name.
you're
thank you for giving us actual money into the game to be named into our story.
I'm sorry,
100%.
Pycon. You're my favorite radish, I promise.
As well as, I mean, we should mention that, Derek. PyCon and Caesar Wolf and
Skio Exitum.
Skior Exitum, those were Patreon supporters
Was that the troll guy?
Yes.
who trolled you in the first episode, Dodd.
I can't believe that was one power I was totally going to use for good.
Completely
and
blocked
I completely shit the bed on
completely blocked you. And those three people were our Patreon supporters who were qualified for the reward of being named as an NPC in our games. So that's who they were. So thank you for supporting us.
Thanks, guys.
I hope you don't mind us using your names for nefarious reasons.
Yeah, and calling you radishes.
And Caesar salads.
You radish.
So, what did you guys think of the system?
I like it. I
Yeah.
was kind of worried I wasn't going to get it in time, but it's basically World of Darkness, but I like how you play with successes and failures.
Yeah, and I really like games, especially like this, that allow you to create almost any character you want, right? Like, part of why I ended up falling into a character that was more like me was because we only had a week to put this together. But I would love, like, to play a Scion game where it's someone who's very much not like me at all. There's no, quote, classes, really, to this game. It's pick your pantheon, and where do you want to focus your strengths and your knacks and your boons and your skills and your relics that you have. I mean, yes, I was using Fragra and having this kick-ass sword, but it could have been anything I wanted. And yeah, it's a bit of option paralysis, but if you want to come in with, if you're the kind of person who's really creative and wants to just create their own superhero, this is incredible.
Yeah, and I originally designed all of the characters using the first ed rules before we knew that we were going to have access to the second ed playtest.
Yeah.
And
so there's a bit of conversion going on.
Yeah, it was a little bit of work. Now, there will be a conversion guide provided in the companion. We hit that goal on Kickstarter.
Nice. We just didn't have access to that.
Yeah.
They haven't written it yet.
Which, by the way, I've been watching the Kickstarter as we've been recording. We've actually had a few people get involved while we've been playing.
Fantastic.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, on the day of recording, we're recording this on Sunday the 16th. As of like last night, they hit 1,000% of their funding.
That's crazy.
That's really cool. This is
that's really cool because there are always people
has done a wholly house-owned, independent project.
And these things are fun because there's always, people that are waiting for that last 24-hour period to throw in their support just to get that last kick-ass punch, where everyone either upgrades their perks or gets in. So it's gonna be a fun week watching that Kickstarter rise up to the 22nd. It's not done, and I can't wait to play this game when it's actually printed. That's gonna be very cool.
Was there anything you didn't like about the system that you found difficult to use?
I would have liked to have figured out if we could have used momentum maybe a little bit more, because there was a few things I think I could have used it on, because I realized my momentous virtue was purpose. I'd say whenever I went after these guys, I was acting with a purpose, that's for sure. Like, I'm going to succeed. I'm going to be the hero. I'm going to do what I need to do. I wondered if I should have gotten momentum for that, but I wasn't sure.
Yeah, I mean, and just comparing in terms of, like, especially early on with the investigation, comparing to our Mutant City Blues game and to the Deadlands game, it was I felt a little aimless starting off. Where I was like, where am I? Like, where should I go? What am I supposed to do?
As well.
And I mean, but I also get that feeling when we play Dungeons and Dragons with Ravenloft, Dodd, when we were in the castle. That game isn't out yet. We pushed it back to make room for the Scion game. But there's a moment where we get to a castle and we're just walking around, and I'm not really sure where I'm supposed to go for the narrative, because I want to move the story forward, but I don't really know how to get there yet. And so I just I'm like, what do I roll? I don't know. I mean, I was coming in completely cold into this game because of the speed that we had to get ready for it. So I didn't really know what I was like. I'm reading my character and my rules sort of as we were playing the game. And I thought when we got into Caesar Wolf and we met him, that's where we shone as a group and did really well. But the very beginning of the investigation and then the very end with the moral quandary, sort of like, I just want to wrap this up. Yeah.
I think part of that is there just wasn't a lot of time for you to develop your characters.
I would love to have gotten to like, I'd like to like have more exploration into these superpowers and into like what is at stake. Like to find out that the world wasn't really at risk with this guy. He was just selling stuff on the black market. And I was like, okay, well the stakes aren't really high. He's just like a drug dealer. Like, do I really care about this? I don't. Like, whatever. I just felt like a mall cop with this guy. I was just catching him and then handing him over to the real bad
Scion.
guys. And I wanted it to be more. I wanted it to feel more than a rent-a-cop with this event. And then when I finally found out, he's just peddling stuff. All right, well then like fucking let him go and we'll hand over the Pandora's box and then take on a cool mission.
Yeah, but at the same time,
that,
same people that sell nukes, right?
Yeah, I mean, I want to be clear that what he was basically doing was the magical equivalent of selling nuclear warheads on the black market.
Yeah, but I don't know. And then it's just sort of like, I just don't.
Yeah, no, I could have put a bit more.
He just didn't seem
direct evil in your face.
Like pick up a kitten and sacrifice him to get some powers. Then I have like a reason to attack you, right? Like I just didn't. It's like, why can't you just be evil? And I get it. Like not everything's black and white, but it's like also why can't it be? I played that in our Deadlands game, which isn't out yet either, where certainly I played with people that may or may not have been evil. But then in like the last hour, I was like, no, I'm going to make this guy really fucking evil so that no one has a choice.
You mean Dogs in the Vineyard?
Dogs in the Vineyard.
Right there for death.
You'll see. You'll see. I kind of play around with that moral quandary where there's certainly a lot of people in the town, but I also always like to paint at least one character as just dripping with you want to hate him.
Yeah.
And I thought Caesar was going in that direction, but then we didn't really have any time to explore who Caesar was.
But then you broke his knee.
We stole his amulet and broke his knee and never really found out what the amulet's for, which I'm assuming is used to like identify other relics for what they are, and he was using it to appraise things. Because he used the amulet to immediately identify my sword. So he was basically the appraiser at this auction house. I was like, okay, that's boring. I just want to kill monsters. I was really pumped to fight that death claw. Everyone was really scared of it. I was like, yes, let's stabby. Oh well, then we closed up Pandora's box and you went away.
Well, I mean,
if Dodd had failed his role, you would have had to fight a death claw,
which would have been like maybe I lost an arm or I got a wicked scar.
I mean, I guess.
Hashtag Instagram.
Thank God I didn't fail that one.
I mean, on my end, I could have definitely crafted the story a little bit differently because I left it kind of open-ended. Like this is, if we were to run a longer form Scion campaign, this whole magical like smuggling ring could certainly have been a longer term villain.
Well, when did it change? When we were planning this game, it sounded like we were attending like an esports championship final, and I thought this was going to be taking place in a stadium where Dodd was commenting on it.
Yeah,
Cassie was playing in it, and I would have been in the audience, and then the whole thing was just going to be like under
over
attack.
The last few days. I was trying to tighten things up a lot.
Oh, okay.
Just because of our time constraints.
Because it just,
I think I tightened it too much.
Well, we live and learn.
With like doing the esports setting, unless you know what you're talking about,
that was the other thing.
It's easy to get a lot of details wrong.
Exactly.
But no, I thought this was okay. I mean, all of us have been to Fan Expo in some capacity. I could very easily picture what was kind of going on here.
Yeah.
No, I knew where we were and where we were going, and
I was waiting for that pearl to stab us in the back, though.
Yeah, I was like, well, I was thinking of even throwing it at PyCon and letting I don't know, whatever came out of that Pokeball attack him. But
so, you know, the way I'm feeling about like basically everything that we've had to say in terms of criticism on this is like what I'm gathering is if this were a longer form thing, we wouldn't be having these issues.
Yeah.
Mechanically,
right?
I like how it functions.
Yeah. I like the mechanics.
And I think it was really smooth. Character creation was stupid easy.
Yeah.
And we didn't really get bogged down worrying about the rules in the game. It was just more of, it became option overload. Where it's like we can do all the things.
Yeah, I mean, there's certainly a lot of stuff that from the rules that you didn't end up using in here. But I think that's also just the format.
Yeah,
that we're using.
I kept looking at like Master of Cosplay and Underdog Son of the Master of All Arts, whatever the hell that means, and trying to find ways to invoke that into the story the way Quinn Dodd was able to with his character. And rough and tumble college student, it just never came up. So I was just sitting on my character.
I think one thing that might kind of benefit us next year, because it seems like we always pick one or two games to run long form, because right now we're running Star Wars and D&D.
Yeah.
I don't think
Ghostbusters,
Scion would be
sort
a
of.
bad choice for a long form game.
I think there's certainly something to pick up once the game has actually come out.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We may want to revisit it. We'll revise the characters a bit to fit with the final rule set.
Yeah.
And-
Y'all ain't heard the last of Quinn.
Yeah. I had a whole bunch of
I love your
abilities.
characters.
Yeah.
And I do love what you did with them.
I really loved your first episode, Derek, as we had our visitations.
Yeah.
That was like, it really set the tone.
That was really great.
And then, I mean, I apologize for when we showed up to Fan Expo and I just didn't know how to play my character. Like
It happens.
Whatever. Okay. But you know, the game worked out really well, and it does sound like the criticisms we do have is more on our preparation, and less on the mechanics, which is actually a great place to be at the end of the game, to know that this is something that we can polish our story, and the game is going to roll on its own.
I think our mechanical takeaway is really, and I agree with Dodd, that momentum there isn't enough to do with it. At the moment is that you guys got a thing, but it's obviously still something in development.
Yeah.
But otherwise, like as the guy running the game, I found the system to actually be very accessible and very conducive to being able to make the story. I love the complications. Go into it.
I really like games that work tags and stuff that you can work into that are like sensitive to the context that you're in, like having your bell rung and the crowd is freaking out. That's a complication in the scene. Yeah, that's always good stuff. Kind of the way Fate works with just writing stuff down.
Yeah, I really like the Fate system.
Into that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the boons worked really smoothly, I felt.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I'm a little bit sad because I had a whole bunch of different abilities regarding the stars and the kami that I could have used. But didn't really have.
Powers.
I had teleportation powers.
What?
Yeah. And I could have.
Did you not read how her star purview works?
Oh, you could have just teleported ahead of PyCon and tripped him.
I'm only allowed to use it in like low pressure situations.
Oh.
So if it's just like, according to this, basically.
So when we were sneaking around early on, if we had gotten into trouble with the bouncer and Quinn wasn't able to get us through, you might have been able to teleport through to the other side.
Maybe not. Basically, the idea is if it's high energy, like high pressure, like I need to be able to keep my focus. So it's more like, we've been briefed on a mission that we have to do. It's like, all right, we're gonna go there, and then I teleport us because I can. It's quiet and I can take a few seconds.
When we got PyCon at the end and we knocked him out, that's likely how you might have been able to get in touch with the authorities.
Yeah.
Is you teleport off to the authorities
Essentially,
and come back.
Yeah, and then the other thing I could have done was appeased the kami of different things or animals to be able to like convince them to help me in some manner, right? So in the same way that you had control over certain like wireless devices and stuff like that, I could have. But
we were in Fan Expo.
Yeah. But like for example, I could have gone up to a car and like appeased the kami of that car and been like, "Hey, I don't have the keys, but I mean, I think you're really nice. Could you mind if we drive you? Is
and then
okay?"
the door opens up and it's like, "Hop on in."
And then it just lets you drive it like without the key or whatever. Essentially, it's actually I borrowed that exactly from what it says on the sheet.
No, it's the example in the book. It's really cool.
That's nice.
You know what? I just had an idea with Justin's wireless device control. We should have had George R.R. Martin's phone call us, and then we just track it through FaceTime.
It needs to be around you. You couldn't just make it randomly go off.
No, the idea is like I can
random
wirelessly
dog.
handle my phone. I don't have to bring it out. I haven't had to like open my phone to post Instagram for like 6 months now. I can just do it all wirelessly.
Yeah.
I'm basically a
You
Bluetooth
liked the service
headset.
dog, did you, Dodd?
Yes, I did, Doug. He went this way. Men smell like hot dog.
Yes.
Actually, the wireless
Yes. Maybe a good
interface.
dog.
I was just thinking, if my character was like being held up or arrested or any other things, I'd be able to send texts from my phone with essentially my mind.
Yes.
Yeah, as
other
long as you had
people.
service, yeah, you were good.
As long as I can focus on it, as long as I have service, without taking the phone out of my pocket, I'd be able to be like, help! They got me!
Shit going down. Help me out.
Yeah, exactly. Or like turn on the memo recorder and record the whole conversation as Caesar Wolf gives his evil monologue. And I got it all on tape! And it's immediately posted to SoundCloud.
He didn't really get a chance to monologue.
No one really monologued.
Broke his knee and busted his ass.
Because Quinn just kept throwing stuff at him. Let me throw glitter in his
He
open
has a
eyeballs.
dice pool called Paranoid Monologuing.
That's great.
It didn't come up because you guys moved into the just kick his ass.
Derek, thank you so much for organizing
This
this
was good.
and for pulling this game
thank
together.
you for playing. I had a good time.
And thank you so much to Onyx Path for giving us access
Yeah.
to this game. Thank you to our Patreon supporters for giving us money, and we were able to include you in our game. It's a lot of fun to have NPCs. Like Caesar Wolf might end up turning into like a recurring villain in future games as like
Shows up with,
reincarnated
like, a leg
characters.
brace on.
If you listen to the Illusionoid podcast, they have a character, Professor Carstairs, who has shown up in dozens of different episodes that are unrelated to each other, actually played by different members of the Illusionoid cast. And Professor Carstairs is becoming. I would love to see if these people continue to support us. I've got no problem keep cycling their names through and creating like a Doctor Who Bad Wolf scenario where their names
Yeah.
just keep appearing throughout history and time.
We are now fighting the Legion of Caesar Wolves.
Yeah, exactly. And the Pycon Corporation.
One of whom is literally a wolf with a little crown of laurels on his head from after the bomb.
Yeah, exactly.
Caesar Wolf was the bad guy from the Ghostbusters campaign because he was so incompetent.
Oh, we're gonna make this guy feel really bad about himself. We keep making
No, but
him
he's
the bad
awesome
guy.
because the fact that now he's like a renegade Time Lord who can do whatever the hell he wants.
Like we
He
picked
told
the
Scion.
name to be that auctioneer's name because it was such a badass name. We ended up just capping him
really
at the
is.
knees and stealing his jewelry.
That's it.
I felt kind of
Resident
bad.
Rex,
I'm making him look like George R. R. Martin. But come on, man. If you're gonna have a wizard who's infiltrating a comic book convention to use as a site for an auction of illegal magic items, just having
Either that or
him
Gandalf. That
just randomly look like George R. R. Martin.
That or
I
Stan Lee.
figured it'd be George R. R. Martin or like Gary Gygax or something.
Oh my God, yeah.
The reincarnated form of Gary Gygax.
Gary Gygax didn't die. He just ascended to godhood.
He just became a Scion.
Oh my God, I'm gonna have to make Gary Gygax into a god NPC at some point.
I'm the Scion of
D&D
Gary
pantheon.
Gygax? That'd be really weird.
That would be
Like,
super weird.
are
and
you
meta.
Gary Gygax? Like, yep. And I know your mom. Oh no.
It's like, you know her in a biblical sense? Please don't tell me you know her in a biblical sense.
I know her in a roll. Consults chart, biblical sense. Sorry, rolled a 1.
Oh gosh. The Gygax pantheon.
Oh boy.
So, the time
Anyway,
to wrap, boys.
Yep, this
And
is
girl.
the last full day of the Scion Kickstarter. Check them out, Scion 2nd Edition.
Go give me your support.
Yep.
Supported
Game's
her.
great.
Quinn's coming to your house
What?
with my moccasins of ass kicking.
Yeah,
And
I
running.
got this.
I got this. I will convince you. If you don't sign up for the Scion Kickstarter, mighty woe will come to your houses. Bad
High
credit
success
scores.
subterfuge checks will occur upon you.
I lay a
And
Gaius
leprechaun.
on all of our listeners to be obligated to visit the Kickstarter page by Onyx Path on the 2nd edition of Scion.
I'd also like to point out when I started saying woe will come to your house and leprechauns, my wife gave me the strangest look.
That's amazing.
I'm amazed that Blair
Onyx
is
Path
even
employs
capable of giving
leprechaun.
strange looks anymore after everything.
Oh, dear. Okay, so we're going to wrap this up. I'm Derek the Bard from Chase the Muse. I've been your story guide for this campaign. And Thanks for listening.
And I'm Justin Ecock. I've been one of the players.
I'm Cassie D20 Love Chew. Thank
Mike
you.
Mike the Birdman Dodd, This Week in Geek.net, and I really gotta pee!
So,
seeing
okay,
you.
bye.
And that concludes our 5-day special event with the Scion 2nd Edition Kickstarter special. Thank you to Onyx Path for providing the game for us to play. You can support Scion 2nd Edition for the next few hours by visiting their Kickstarter page right now. The links are in the description. They're easy to find on Google. Last I checked, they just rounded $300,000, but that doesn't mean it has to stop there. They still have stretch goals to hit, and you could be the deciding factor in that. The Terrible Warriors will return to their Monday and Thursday schedule next week. But I understand that a lot of you are listening to us for the first time because of this event, so let me introduce you to our weird little show. The Terrible Warriors is all about the enjoyment of tabletop RPGs. We believe that these games are for everyone to enjoy, and that anyone, regardless of experience or background, can participate in that weird, unique joy that can only be found in interactive storytelling. Over the last 4 years, we have recorded over 50 separate campaigns set in worlds that are familiar and worlds that have been improvised. They're all available forever and for free at terriblewarriors.com. We're always trying to improve the show. We're always pushing ourselves towards doing better. So what do we have planned for you next? On Monday, we return to Dungeons & Dragons in the realms of Ravenloft with Game Master Mike the Birdman Dodd as he brings Cassie, Scotty, Justin, and Connell back to the table into a trap of a tale we call Dead by Dawn's Light. On Thursdays, we have a crew out in Edmonton run by Derek the Bard, and he's gathered Wes Gunn and Will Mitchell to play a Western RPG that's about halfway through now, set in the world of Deadlands, in a campaign we're calling The Adventures of Change and Stone. It plays a lot like a TV show. I wish it was a TV show. Why can't it be a TV show? If you can make Change and Stone into a TV show, contact us at feedback@terriblewarriors.com. Follow us on Twitter @DiceWarriors. Of course, follow Onyx Path @TheOnyxPath. Today's Terrible Warriors have been Derek the Bard, Cassie Chui, Mike Dodd, and Justin Ecock, with album art by Steve Saylor and audio production by Justin Ecock. And special cameo NPC appearances by Patreon supporters Caesar Wolf, Skyo Exitum, and PyCon. This is where I would normally say thank you for listening, supporting, and sharing, and being a Terrible Warrior, but I thought I would give you a little bit of a gift. You just sat through this crazy week. We didn't know where it was going to end. We've never done anything like this before. And this episode was a little bit shorter, being the debrief and all. And I wanted to just round out the time, a little bit of an extra bit of recording we had. Just before we actually formally started Ravenloft, Cassie needed to come up with a character name. And we started spitballing ideas and having a fun time, and I happened to have the mics on and was recording the whole thing. I don't know if they knew I was doing that. So here's a little behind-the-scenes, candid moment that happened in the preparation of Dead by Dawn's Light. And I'll just let it end there because, no extras. I'm tired. We've been doing this all week. It's been 5 days. I haven't left this room. I need to eat. I need to pee. I need to sleep.
Notice me name right there.
Eleanor Sweater Weather. What's your name? I'm Eleanor
I love
Sweater
that
Weather.
Gothic horror has now been reduced to sweater weather.
Well, it is. It's kind of muggy. A good root
And I
sweater.
know. Okay, so I get an
Long
extra spell
sleeves.
slot, and I
Good
learn
root
an
sweater.
extra thing.
With them long sleeves.
Big
And
Canada
luck.
sweater.
Okay.
So we're going with Ophelia Damp Shoes.
Yes.
If you want.
Where do I know
Eleanor
it's
Sweater
at?
Weather was where it's at.
Eleanor Sweater Weather.
Well, breakfast is
He
cheap.
sent it to me via like
Breakfast
Facebook
is
message.
cheap.
So we got Calder, Salchar, Little Thumper, Ophelia, and it was Steeg for Steve, which I have a
Steeg.
plot reason to explain that away.
Steeg.
Steeg. The almighty
We're
Steve.
gonna go-
Jesus Christ.
Has gone into deep meditation for the next few weeks.
We're gonna go with
He's turning into a
we're gonna
fucking
go with
demon
Ophelia
guy.
Sycamore.
Ophelia Sycamore.
Yeah, that's what
Let's
we're
say
gonna go
like
with.
That's a little better.
Ophelia Damp Shoes was the name of the creepy love interest in my first big D&D campaign that I played. my friend James was like, yeah, you're playing a sorcerer. I'm like, yeah. And he's like, yeah, so this really creepy girl who's like perpetually just damp. She's just moist like all the time. She just looks like creepy and gross. She lives down the street and she's got the hots for you and she just kind of like lurks around your home and I'm like, great. And her name was Ophelia Dampshoes and it was the funniest thing.
You can always hear
Well,
her spell check
if
down.
you want, I
Like
do
the
have
squidgy sound of her
that are
leather slippers
Burrowian in
as she
nature.
drags around. And I was like, that's pretty funny. And then Winifred Dorothy Longsleeves is the name of my assistant at LARP. And we came up purposefully with the
adorable.
worst name we
Hey,
could
Cassie.
imagine.
Yes.
I have some suggestions for you. I actually have a list of Burrowian names.
Barovian.
Okay.
I
They got good
have
cheese.
They do have good cheese.
Mirabelle,
That's a cute name.
Vasha,
That's a
Midori,
Midichlorian.
Bianca, Serena,
Bonkers.
Bonkers. Yeah, that's right.
Is Ophelia in there? Because that would be hilarious.
I don't see it, but that seems to work. So, just wanted to give you some other names.
Yeah.
Which is this
I'm
the first
still
time
a
you've been
huge fan of
DM'd
Michael
by me,
Flatley.
Cassie?
Maybe actually.
Yeah, I warn you, I do take the RP pretty serious.
Okay. Cool.
Just FYI.
That's fine. Challenge me.
No, he doesn't.
Yeah. And now that we've been playing for X amount of years, like on the show, now that we've done the intro adventures, death is now a real possibility.
Don't scare Cassie.
Oh,
I'm not
okay.
pulling punches.
Cassie's
now.
crying
Don't
now.
worry.
Don't
Thanks.
scare Cassie.
I'm
Just
fine.
kill her.
It's fine.
We're gonna call her Ophelia Damp Eyes now. She's crying because of how much you just scared her.
Ophelia.
Well, that's just one thing that I've noticed that's been missing from like, because when I went back and re-listened to Ravenloft, we had some really good roleplay moments in there, and I kind of want to keep the same feel.
Hey,
Okay.
I killed off like half the characters at the end of the first After the Bomb game. I just want to say.
Oh yeah.
Also,
Most of
I
them
Oh,
did
man.
not survive.
I am
that
tempted.
campaign.
also paranoia.
I also want
Fucking
Cassie
right.
to survive because honestly, she's your best chance at living.
Ha!
Oh,
Get wrecked. We're all gonna die.
fuck.